You know, this week has been quite busy for me, not just on YouTube in real life, whether it be my sister having her second child, me upping the ante with my working out, and of course my desire to continue making frequent content. The news though has been astonishing. I'm still a tad disappointed that Dankula isn't in prison whipping out his massive, veiny, Pringle-tubed cock, telling people he's going to batter their prostate. Maybe I can get him to just look dead in the camera and say, "Batter my prostate." One can only dream of this being said. That all aside, I do have a number of videos I intend to make before this week is out. I think Fridays will be quite shitposty. Anyway, today's topic is going to be another case where the courts are quite frankly proving themselves to be utterly worthless, and it will in effect raise the subject of the sentencing gap. Something which has cropped up before, and I might mention in my aforementioned shitposty video on Friday, as I think this is something that needs to be talked about. I have on a number of occasions mentioned how UK courts are inconsistent with how they dole out justice. This is certainly a case where I believe that to be the case, taking what they consider to be mitigating factors to not truly dole out the correct punishment. Now, for those that are interested, I saw this article originally on Breitbart, but not to worry, I'm using Kent Online instead, as that is a more, well, less laughable source. Philmon Cabron, convicted of sexual assault. I can feel the ads falling from this video, and it being placed into a limited state. A teenage refugee who molested and tried to strangle a young woman as she waited for a lift home outside McDonald's has been spared custody. Well, now we know what the crime was. How on earth did he get out of it? Did he have one of those Monopoly get-out-of-jail-free cards, perhaps? I'm guessing if it was in mint condition and not curling like those Magic the Gathering Dominaria cards, it might be considered a investment. Foreign targeted the lone 25-year-old at 5 AM on July 18th last year after a night out in Maidstone. Having urged her to follow him while grabbing at his crotch, the 18-year-old grabbed her by the wrists before trying to throttle her. I don't know what kind of move that is, but that's not in the bro code, or the playbook that I believe Barney Stinson has, which I also have a copy of. I'm hoping that also wasn't used as a defense, because that would be pretty damn lame. As the terrified 25-year-old fought him off, Foreign, who came to the UK as an asylum seeker 2 years ago, grabbed her breast. Well, this all sounds like he should be in prison, right? If a guy can be sentenced to prison no less for staring creepily through a window, then this guy, no matter what his status as a refugee or asylum seeker, although I would point out they're not necessarily the same thing, he would surely be sentenced to life, or possibly castration, which seems reasonable, let's face it. I know a number of people have shown interest in the younger me's opinions, the ones where I once said a paedophile should have their genitals removed. I'd like to correct that now and say, child sex offender, have their genitals removed, placed inside a box that is totally clear but unbreakable, placed in the cell of the person who no longer has those genitals, so they can watch them decay. I'd like to apply this to anyone else that tries to rape someone, and is so brazen about it. Wow, I really didn't want ads today, did I? Then he used his fingers to grip inside her mouth like a fishhook. Was she yawning? Because I know that's a thing. But in spite of her fear and pain, the woman screamed and the teenager ran off. I'm not sure if it was the scream that concerned him or the pitch at which the scream was in, if that's the correct word. I honestly, I know where I was going with that. I just lost it. But I'm glad that this didn't go any further. I'm glad she wasn't raped by this idiot. This feckless buffoon who should be in a prison cell right now getting butt-fucked by Dankula. Parts of the incident at the drive-thru branch in Hart Street opposite the Crown Court building, wow, that was brazen, was captured on CCTV and Foreign was arrested. Well, he really didn't choose his place well. I know many asylum seekers haven't done this, so I would recommend if you watch my videos and understand my words, it might be an idea to look up just how many cameras we have in this country. The term Big Brother is watching pretty much summarizes just how ridiculous the amount of cameras we have around here are. Even in the more rural areas, there are still street cameras because people care about their safety and because, well, we like collecting data on people so we can use it against them in courts. Like this, no less. Even though the courts have this evidence taken from outside their own building, you're not in prison. He admitted sexual assault and faced being locked up for between 2 to 4 years. He should have gotten the maximum, 4 years. But a judge decided that there were exceptional circumstances which enabled him to avoid sending Foreign to a young offenders institution. There is no excuse. I'm sorry, I do not accept any of that. He instead imposed a sentence of 19 months youth custody suspended for 2 years. I'm just gonna say this now. You fucking what, mate? That's pretty much how I feel. Judge Philip Statman was unable to include a condition that he attends a vigorous and intensive sex offender treatment program, as is imposed usually in such cases due to foreigners' basic knowledge of the English language. Not long ago, some people lost their jobs and a hospital lost a lot of money because they were unable to talk to the family who'd had a child to tell them to feed the child. Basically, bloody well include a course with a different language in it, or make it so that people who come here speak basic English. This isn't rocket science, and I know learning is difficult for some people because they're retarded, but if you go to another country, you integrate. You don't go there and retain every facet of your original culture. You adapt to the new one, which includes learning their language. Philip Statman, you're a fucking idiot. You're actually a fucking idiot. You should have imposed it and said, right, what we'll do, we'll get somebody who speaks your language to translate it. That way, the retard who tried to rape someone, the retard who did it outside your court no less, will actually learn that he is not allowed to do this in this country. You could have done that. You could have actually done that, dickhead. Oh, and to answer my own queries about that, I guess, he was told the probation service who runs such courses were unable to provide interpreters for offenders as a result of both practical and funding issues. Then kick the fucker out of the country. Honestly, I'm running out of options here. I'm not a very good skeptic clone. We don't really come up with solutions. If you can't put the prick in prison, you can't put him through the course that will teach him why it's wrong, then get rid of him. It's not like he's actually going to contribute much to this society anyway. He's already shown his hand when he grabbed that girl's tit. Such a program is also not available in prisons for foreign sex offenders with limited language skills for the same reasons. Nice. So we're not actually rehabilitating them. We're just going to let them stew there so they come out and learn to do it again. Oh wait, no, they didn't learn to do it again. They just did it again. It's nice to know that you don't have faith in rehabilitation and make some bogus excuses about funding. If we know certain crimes have been committed predominantly by certain communities from certain countries that have a certain faith, perhaps it's an idea to learn a basic language that is quite common, or am I being too obvious here? I'm not saying Arabic. Fuck. Judge Statman did, however, I'm hearing something good, impose conditions of 180 hours unpaid work, a 10-month tagged curfew between 8 PM and 7 AM, and a 30-day rehabilitation activity requirement. I can see foreign now not changing at all, because this is absolute shit. Quite frankly, I'm done with this article. It's an absolute embarrassment, and you, Judge Philip Statman, we all know why you're wearing the wig, really. You think it makes you look smart. You're a retard. And here I was thinking House of Lords are out of touch. Turns out our own judges are. Mitigating factors, when actually they're all because of outside factors that mean you can't basically impose the law as you should. Congratulations. And by the way, for those who are interested, a suspended sentence is when a court imposes a custodial sentence of between 14 days and 2 years. The court may choose to suspend the sentence up to 2 years, basically. This means that the offender does not go to prison immediately, but is given the chance to stay out of trouble and comply with up to 12 requirements set by the court. Awesome. A guy attempted to rape someone, and for that, he just got a curfew. Community service. Are you kidding? Do you remember earlier when I mentioned the sentencing gap? There are certain crimes committed in this country, and then when you look at the men, the women, and maybe even divide it a little more by race, you'll notice a disparity. For some reason, people of a certain faith, race, unless you think they're the same thing, commit a crime, there always seems to be an excuse. Anyway, I thought I'd try and end this video on a lighter note, so I'm just going to play this clip from a video by Miss Misa, because it amused me nonetheless. So I hope you all have a lovely day. Oh, and when you hear the comment, you'll see it on the screen for a second. I'm going to link the video she had it in the description. Please go to her channel and put it in the comments. Hashtag NutInMisa. Thank you all for listening.
NutInMe. How the fuck did this one get in? I forgot I have the screenshot on my phone.
Shooting a pug dog to raise its paw in a Nazi salute. You said gas was used 23 times. What's funny about that?
The context of it is the juxtaposition of having an adorable animal react to something vulgar. That was the entire point of the joke. Have you seen the video?
Do you accept you committed a crime?
Have you seen the video?
I have.
Right, again, so I explained the context in it, so why are you asking me again?
Well, the context is that you've been fined £800 for a crime that
No,
you committed.
we're talking about the context of the video. Don't try and move on, mate.
we had in court.
Yeah, can I just ask, why did
we
you-
had in court that
No.
you committed gross offence against a large community of people. 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
You just said the statement a couple of seconds ago. Why should I consider your context if you're not concerning mine?
You've broken the law. Do you regret breaking the
You
law?
just broke the law 2 seconds ago when you said the phrase. Remember, context matters, mate.
American Bad